Hi, I'm Ron Napick from Napick's Marine in Amsterdam, New York, and today we're going to take a look at some seating options for your utility, your john, or your rowboat. Instead of having to sit on a hot aluminum bench or a hard carpet-covered or vinyl-covered platform, a simple seat can really make it a lot more comfortable. Our first choice here is a good economical choice. It's a 16-inch wide low back Weiss seat. It has a plastic base and a plastic backing, so there's no wood to rot. It has the aluminum hinges, and it comes with the 4 mounting screws. The next choice is a little higher end seat from Weiss. It's a nice high back, thicker foam, 17-inch wide. It's a little bit deeper. It's got the heavy duty hinges, again, plastic base, plastic back, so there's no wood to rot, and that also comes with its own mounting screws. So you pick the seats you want for your boat. Now it's time to mount them. Most customers feel this is a really difficult project, but actually it's not. We stock several different mounting options, basically so we can fit these seats to any type of john boat, rowboat, or utility boat. Let's take a look, see what options are out there for you. Now, your first option on a bench seat where you can't mount a standard swivel is a clamp-on swivel. I'll remove the seat here so we can get a better look at what we're going to do. Basically, it's a clamp with a swivel. And what you would do is you would position this so the swivel is centered on a seat, and also so when the seat is in place, mounted, it can clear when it swivels. Now, the first thing you want to do is, once you get the seat positioned where you want it, is to get these retainer brackets installed so this bracket cannot flip off the seat on you. And that's simply done by setting these in place. You have one for the back, one for the front, and then tightening up your front retainer nuts by hand, and then tightening the back thumb screws. Next, you want to drill the holes using an electric drill 1 1/8 bit, and then with a Phillips screwdriver install the supplied screws to hold these brackets in place. Once these brackets are in place, you can loosen the thumb screws, open the clamp up, and remove the entire seat for storage for the winter. So with everything in place, you have an easy way to mount your fishing chair on a bench seat where you cannot mount a standard swivel. Now, you can mount this on a bench seat that is plain aluminum, carpeted, vinyl covered, or even has a top plate that's carpeted vinyl covered, as long as the top plate doesn't extend past the outsides of the seat. Now, if you want to have the ability to lock the swivel, you can remove the swivel from the clamp assembly and replace it with a locking swivel. This gives you 12 position locking, and it is recommended at least for the driver. But if you want passenger seats also that will lock in place so they can't free swivel by themselves, simply replacing this by removing the screws and taking this out and replacing it with this locking swivel solves the problem. Now, our final solution to mount a seat to a bench seat is a rail system. This has 2 rails, the front retaining rail and the rear locking rail. What you do first is you mount the front locking rail in place so that the sliding plate is positioned so when you mount the seat or your swivel and seat, that it does clear the side of the boat and is in a good position for steering the engine. This basically allows this to slide back and forth, and also keeps the seat from falling back out because it retains this slider right in place. The rear rail or retaining rail keeps the plate completely in place so it can't pop out forward, but it allows you to slide this wherever you want it in the boat. Just like that. To this bracket, you can either mount your fishing seat, a standard swivel. First mount your seat to the swivel and then the swivel to that bracket. Or you can mount a standard locking swivel that allows you to swivel the seat and lock it in place. When you want to remove the seat, you simply slide the slider all the way to the opposite end and directly disengage it from the rails, and you can take the seat and the plate completely out and you leave your sliders in. When mounting your sliders, make sure you use stainless steel number 10 screws. On this seat, you want approximately 1 inch long. Now in this particular situation, we have a flat top box section that is not removable. So our options are a little bit more limited. And what we can use here, we can use the removable slider, and we can position that so we can actually rotate this to use the seat forward or to the side. Now the way this works is you mount these sliders with a number 14 self-tapping stainless screw. You need 3 of them for each slider. And what these sliders do, they allow you to slide the swivel bracket in and out so you can actually remove the swivel and seat completely off the boat. And as you can see from the back side, they lock in place. And by moving this lever, you can disengage the slider and allow that to slide right out. And of course, these sliders do have other applications that they can be used on. Also, the removable swivel can be used on all bench seats in the same manner. Now, to help us align the fishing chairs on the swivel, and this can be used on any of the swivels, we've removed the mounting hardware and we've replaced in with studs, 2-inch quarter 20 studs into where the mounting hardware was, and you screw those down in so they stick out about 3/8 to 1/2 inch. Now you can take the seat, set it into the swivel, and now you can move the seat around till it's centered properly. Then you can remove the seat and then drill either the removable or a fixed swivel. You can drill it and mount it. Then once you're all done, you remove all of the alignment studs. At that point, you'll have the sliders mounted in place. Next, you mount the removable swivel to the seat with the mounting hardware. Then once all the mounting hardware is in place and these sliders are in their place, then you can slide the seat directly in and lock it in position. The first thing you want to do in any mounting situation before you mount anything permanently, you want to make sure you set the seat in place. You can use the studs to line them up in the swivel. Set the seat in place and make sure that it will completely swivel in all directions to clear the side or any supports or braces in the boat. Now also in this application, we can use the aluminum slider we showed you earlier. We can mount the sliders in place and then put the sliding plate in and mount our seat to that slider. And we can have it fixed, but what I would recommend is that you attach a lockable swivel to this plate so you can swivel the seat. The lockable swivel would look like this when mounted in place, and of course this would mount to the seat. So now you have the option of positioning that seat sideways, sliding it forward and back, and when you move it to the front, you can slide that seat in the forward position and slide it back and forth to suit your driving or your fishing needs. Now remember how I mentioned earlier you couldn't mount just a regular locking swivel or a standard swivel in an area where you can't get underneath the mounting area to bolt and nut it? Well, I'm going to show you a little trick that if you have a little bit of time and ambition, you can overcome that obstacle. Remember earlier I mentioned about the 1/4 stainless steel studs that I use for alignment. Well, what you can do besides using these for alignment is you can use these for mounting. What you would do is set the studs in, set your seat in place till you get it positioned where you want it, remove the seat, and then mount your swivel to the boat seat or platform using number 14 stainless steel screws and use a stainless steel washer. Now normally if we did that, we wouldn't be able to get the mounting hardware in to mount it to the seat. If we mounted the swivel to the seat first, then obviously we wouldn't be able to mount the swivel to the base. By using these studs, we can overcome that. Again, position your swivel in place and mount it in place using the number 14 stainless steel screws with the washers. Now, what I'll do is I'll show you what we did with these studs. What we used here are 2 1/4 inch in length stainless steel 1/4 stud. You can get these at either a hardware store or at a automotive store, and you screw them in approximately the depth of the mounting screw into the seat. Now you allow them to stick out about 3/8 of an inch, and now you can take your swivel mount, set the seat onto the swivel mount, and using a stainless steel 1/4 flange nut, you can reach underneath, start the nut, and then tighten it in place. So now, with the swivel or the locking swivel mounted in place on the seat or the platform, with these stainless steel 1/4 inch 20 studs, you can set them in place and then reach underneath and start the nut, and then tighten it with a long open end 7/16 wrench. That eliminates the problem of mounting just a swivel where you can't get underneath the flatboard or the mounting seat to mount them through with bolts and nuts. So let's do a quick review. To mount your removable sliders for a slider swivel or to mount swivels to the base, or a locking swivel to the base or the seat, you want to use number 14 stainless self-tapping screws with washers. And of course you'll use the seat hardware to mount the swivel to the seat. In this situation, as I mentioned about the stainless steel studs, you want to get studs that are about 2 1/4 to 2 1/2 inches long. You want to screw them in so you have just enough sticking out that you can use for alignment. And you want them to stick out about 3/8 to 1/2 inch if you're going to use them for mounting with a flange nut. As I mentioned, a flange nut basically is your standard nut with a flange, as you can see, which acts as a washer. And you'll need these in 1/4-20 stainless. So to review your mounting hardware, number 14 self-tapping stainless screws with washers. Your alignment and mounting studs, 1/4-20, 2 1/4 to 2 1/2 inches long, and flange nuts, 1/4-20 stainless. Now in this particular application, we had to mount our fishing chair directly to the seat top. We couldn't use a swivel because there's basically not enough room to allow this seat to swivel. So what we did here is we took the seat, we installed our alignment pins, 1/4 inch or 1/4-20 alignment pins, went down on the base and made marks, wiggled the seat to make marks where we had to drill the holes. We then drilled our 1/4 inch holes, set the seat down, and from underneath, since we do have access, we used our 1/4-20 bolts and washers to mount through the board and into the seat. You want to make sure again that you use stainless hardware, and that in any mounting situation the hardware has to go in at least 1 1/4 to 1.5 inches into the seat base to make a firm installation. Now in this installation, what we did is we mounted our seat on this rear bench of a tiller fishing boat. And in this particular application, of course, we couldn't get to the bottom, so we did use the removable swivel. Now we also, in this application, could have mounted a locking swivel in place of this standard swivel, so we would be able to swivel and lock the seat in place so it wouldn't turn on its own. Now in this application, in a side console boat, we wanted to mount the seat right behind the steering wheel on this flat surface, and we wanted to be able to swivel and lock the seat in place. Luckily, this base right here is removable so we can get to the bottom side. Simply by removing these stainless steel screws, we're able to remove the seat or the seat base off. Now what we do in this application is we take the lockable swivel and first of all set it down on the area where we're going to mount the seat. Then we install our alignment studs into the seat so we can then set them down into the swivel and position that seat and swivel just where we want it. Then remove the seat, and next it's time to mount the locking swivel down to the base. Now we drill the 1/4 inch holes down through the base that we're going to mount the swivel to, and make sure everything lines up properly. Now you want to make sure that the 1/4 inch bolts that you're going to use are stainless and that they extend far enough through the mounting plate so you can attach a washer and a 1/4-20 stainless lock nut. Now before mounting the locking swivel down to this plate, what we're going to do is we're going to use the seat mounting hardware, and we're going to mount this swivel to the seat. Then we're going to place the stainless steel 1/4-inch bolts down through the hole and ease the whole assembly down through the holes that we've drilled, and then mount this to the flat base using washers and stainless steel 1/4-inch 20-thread stainless steel lock nuts. Tighten those securely down, set everything back in place, and then reinstall your mounting hardware to fasten the base back in place. At that point, you're all set to go. Your seat is mounted, and you also have your swivel capability with lock. So there you have it. Today I've showed you several scenarios so you can mount your fishing chair onto your boat and enjoy some comfort when you're out boating or fishing. If you have a particular mounting situation for your fishing chair and need some help, send me an email at ron@napixmarine.com. I'm Ron Napick for Napix Marine in Amsterdam, New York. Thanks for joining me, and have a great day.